Okay, I know I'm just the guest host here, and I'm trying to be nice, but I've been told that I need to watch out for this next segment, kind of just to announce it and then duck and cover. Okay, here's Trtan back in time.
If I could turn back time.
Yeah, even the guest hosts do it. All right, okay. Here we go with a look back at interesting things that happened this week in history. Today, June 17, 1885, the unassembled 151-foot high Statue of Liberty arrives in New York. It's like in pieces. Although Lady Liberty was a gift from France, the pedestal was not. The project almost came to a halt as $100,000 was needed to complete the project. Publisher Joseph Pulitzer, of the Pulitzer Prize fame, of the New York World, started a donation drive which drew over 120,000 contributions, many of them less than $1, and raised $120,000. The dedication of the pedestal, along with New York's first ticker tape parade, was in 1886. In 1928, Amelia Earhart takes off in the Friendship, becoming the first woman to fly across the Atlantic. However, she was not the pilot. She said she felt like she was like a sack of potatoes and that maybe she would try it alone. Well, she did. 1932, she made it by herself. Happy birthday to Barry Manilow, born on this date in 1943. Of course, everybody remembers all his songs, but you have to remember he also sang things like "You Deserve a Break Today," McDonald's theme song, things like that. Yes, he did. All right, June 18. In 1983, Sally Ride became the first U.S. woman in space aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger. My daughter is named after her. My other daughter wanted to name her Sally Rocket. We wouldn't go with the rocket part, but Sally. All right, in 1873, Susan B. Anthony is fined $100 for voting illegally. Women weren't allowed to vote at that time. By the way, she voted for the incumbent, Ulysses S. Grant. She never paid the fine.
Did he win? He won that?
Happy birthday to James Montgomery Flagg. Born on this date in 1877, he was the American artist who created the "I Want You," for the U.S. Army recruiting poster of Uncle Sam in 1917. He used his own face as the model, so you can see what Mr. Flagg looked like. All right, this one's for you, Kurt.
Okay.
All right. In 1942, the first of many thumbs up was given by Roger Ebert. He was born, the American film critic, was born on this day in 1942. How about that?
Wow.
All right, June 19. In 1978, Jim Davis' comic strip about the most lazy, overweight, coffee-drinking, lasagna-eating, sarcastic cat by the name of Garfield debuts in 40 newspapers, eventually earning the Guinness World Record for being the most widely syndicated comic strip. Happy birthday to Mo. Mo Howard, born Moses Harry Horowitz in 1897. He was kind of the leader of the Three Stooges. And Pat Buttram was born on this date in 1915. You might remember him from the Gene Autry Show as Pat, or Green Acres as Mr. Haney. He also wrote political jokes for President Ronald Reagan's speeches.
Nice.
Yeah. June 20th. In 1975, the movie that terrified millions, kept us out of the deep water, is released. Jaws, from a book by Peter Benchley, even made me read the United States Navy's book on shark research. I knew too much about sharks back then.
Took Spielberg years to go back in the water after that.
Oh yeah, I can understand that. And in 1782, the United States adopted the Great Seal bearing the spread eagle with the motto, E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. On June 20th, 1925, the most decorated Army combat soldier of World War II, Audie Murphy, is born. He received the Medal of Honor along with many others. He single-handedly held off advancing German troops for about an hour by manning a machine gun on a burning tank while under direct fire that he even directed on his position. And most decorated U.S. soldier in the Second World War. Here's one I hadn't heard about. On June 21st, 1942, a Japanese submarine, I-25, shells Fort Stevens, Oregon. No one was injured during what was the first attack on a military installation on the U.S. mainland since the War of 1812. All right, now here, I know you're with film, TV you've probably watched too. This
Okay.
one sets me back. I had to look at it a few times and look on other sources to make sure I was reading it correctly. Happy birthday to Michael Gross. You remember Mr. Keaton on Family Ties. He was born on this date in 1947. Next to him is Meredith Baxter, Mrs. Keaton on the Family Ties. Well, she is also born on this date, also in 1947. They were born on the same day. Mind blown, all right? Okay, to close things out, I have this question for you, Kurt. Where does the code you see streaming down the screen in the Matrix come from?
I don't know.
Where it's from is from the person who put it together. It's photos of his wife's sushi cookbook, and then he just kind of turned it and manipulated, and that's where we got the Matrix. And that wraps it up for this edition of Trtan Back Time.
If I could turn